Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making another video response to Ahmed's Quran 3. The title of his video is Muhammad and Satan, Part 174. Now this video is going to be, I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible, and I'm not going to respond fully to his whole video, probably because near about minute 4 to 9:30, he's just raining off hadiths to illustrate whatever point he's attempting to illustrate. And frankly, if I were to go through all of those hadiths, I would have to make several videos. And frankly, I don't care enough to do that. Frankly, I'm not going to go through every single hadith because that would take several videos in which to do that. But there are certain points in the beginning of his video that I'd like to point out, and this really goes with my philosophy that if someone is lying to you in the first couple minutes or couple pages of his book or video or audio, then the person's a liar, and therefore why should you want to even continue the video? And at around these points is when I almost pushed the pause button, but I wanted to hear his whole video and found out that I had wasted my time. Now, he makes a very generalized statement, and he's unique at doing this. He is so masterful at doing these sweeping generalizations and epic introductions that if you aren't paying attention and actually using your God-given mind, you would think that he was actually right. He says there are certain passages are created in the Quran to show Muhammad is not alone in being deceived by Satan. Okay, I would like you to post those verses. Again, it's not intelligent and logical argumentation to just make general statements without backing up your claims. To illustrate this, he quotes Surah 22, Ayah 52, and he says this verse was to cover up Muhammad with the satanic verses. And now, first off, that is not true. Again, I'm amazed at Ahmed's Quran 3 that he actually thinks the story of the satanic verses is legitimate, even though as many people have established and refuted the satanic verse story, it is nothing more than a folk tale. It is not a authentic tradition. It is a fabrication, and I just find it very entertaining that someone like Ahmed's Quran 3 actually believes that this is legitimate. Now, having said that, let's actually read the passage, because he takes the passage not only out of context, but he doesn't read the entire passage, which makes his argument look even more ridiculous. He only quotes this part of Surah 22, verse 52. Never did we send a messenger or a prophet before thee, but when he framed a desire, Satan threw some vanity into his desire. Now that's all he quotes. That's all he quotes, which I find is very disingenuous, because the reason why he didn't read the entire verse is because that would destroy his argument. He would shoot himself in the foot, because the rest of the verse says, but Allah will cancel anything vain that Satan throws in, and Allah will confirm and establish his signs, for Allah is full of wisdom and knowledge. So read the entire verse, buddy. If you're going to quote something, read the whole thing, because that makes you look like a liar and a deceiver yourself, which is kind of ironic that we're talking about Satan, since Satan is a deceiver and a liar, but that's another point. The fact is that you would shoot yourself in the foot if you read the whole verse. So I can understand why you wanted to get around that, because it says that even if Satan does attempt to do that, Allah will cancel out what Satan tries to throw into people's minds, because Allah is full of wisdom and knowledge. But of course, you didn't quote that whole thing, did you? Nah, of course you didn't. Then you say that Satan is a concept created by man. Satan is used in the Quran, and so the thing is that you say that Islam, or that people who believe in Satan, are trying to project their own negativity or negative thoughts onto this person of Satan. Well, if you believe that, which is a very atheist viewpoint, I might add, no offense to atheists, I'm just saying where is he getting this from? Not Islam is not the only religion that believes in Satan. Christianity believes in Satan. So does Judaism. Now, their concepts might slightly vary amongst all three Abrahamic faiths, but Satan is an entity that exists in all three faiths. And so if you're going to come up with this and mock the idea that Satan is an entity that whispers evil thoughts into people and things like this, then you would have to point the finger not only at Islam, but Christianity and Judaism. But I know you're not going to do that. You want to know why I know you're not going to do that? Because you want to be in bed with the Jews and the Christians, because you know that as far as a Western society, you favor the West, and it's evident because I've listened to an interview of yours where you were talking to a very conservative, I believe he was a Christian, here on YouTube. You like to suck up to conservative Christians and Jews. So why would you ever insult their religion? But you shoot yourself in the foot with this fallacy because Satan is an entity that exists in not just Islam, but in Judaism and Christianity. So I would like for you to then modify your video to say it's stupid that Jews and Christians believe in Satan as well, but I know you're not going to do that. Then you mentioned, let's see here, you mentioned Surah 2, Ayah 86, Surah 7, Ayah 20, that Satan in the Garden of Eden, Surah 20, Ayah 120, and you say that that apparently the story is different in the Bible, so therefore the Quran is wrong, which is a really ridiculous argument. You then make, I don't know if you meant to say this on purpose or not, but I'm going to capitalize on the fact that you said this. You say that there is nowhere in the Bible that Satan is not mentioned anywhere in the Bible or Allah, which I find is really, really funny, because you're wrong. Satan is mentioned in the Bible. Now, I think you meant to say in Genesis, but he's mentioned in the Bible. Satan is mentioned in the Bible. It does mean adversary. It is mentioned in the Bible plenty of times. So if you actually believe that, I think you should read the Bible again. Then you mentioned that Allah is not mentioned in the Bible. Well, on a linguistic level, Allah is similar in root and in on linguistic terms. But what about an Arab Bible? An Arabic Bible, a Bible in Arabic used by Arab Jews and Christians. I'm sure Allah is mentioned many times in their Bible, but then again, you show your ignorance on that topic. So then you mentioned, yeah, Satan is not mentioned in Genesis. Good for you. I'm glad that you know that. However, here's the problem, though. Christians believe that the snake was actually Satan. So Islam is not the only religion that believes that Satan tempted Adam and Eve. Now, you're right. In the Jewish scriptures, it is the snake, not Satan itself. But again, if you're going to point the finger at Islam, you've got to point the finger at Christianity as well. But I know you're not going to do that. Then you mention Surah 18, verse 63. And you say that this was made to cover up Muhammad's forgetfulness, which again, I'd like you to illustrate how Muhammad forgot so many verses. But you know what's really funny about this verse? Again, you illustrate the fact that you really don't know the Quran that well at all, because you take this completely out of context, and you say that this is Moses talking. And you quote the passage, and you put Moses' name into the passage, which is really, again, disingenuous of you, because you know that Moses' name, Musa, is not mentioned in this verse. But, you do that anyway, which makes you a liar. Verse 63 says, he, and you say, Moses replied, nah, and it says, sawest thou what happened when we betook ourselves to the rock? I did indeed forget about the fish. None but Satan made me forget to tell you about it. It took its course through the sea in a marvelous way. See, this is at the point where I, as a logical person, as you say people should be, should read the whole context. Let's go back up to verse 62. When they had passed on some distance, Moses said to his attendant, bring us our early meal. Truly we have suffered much fatigue at this stage of our journey. He replied. Who replied? The attendant. Sawest thou what happened when we betook ourselves to the rock? I did indeed forget about the fish. None but Satan made me forget to tell you about it. It took its course through the sea in a marvelous way. Moses said, that was what we were seeking after. So they went back on their footsteps, following the path they had come. So who is mentioned in verse 63? Is it Moses? No, it's his attendant. But you wouldn't know that unless you took the verse out of context, and you certainly wouldn't know that if you actually interpolated Moses' name into verse 63 where it is not mentioned. So you again are deceiving people, but again, that is your habit, isn't it? Then you just go on a huge list of hadiths trying to show, in your opinion, how ridiculous Satan's interaction is with these hadiths. Again, these hadiths are tradition. They are things that are in there in Sahih Bukari and Sahih Muslim. Some of the hadiths you mentioned were indeed weak, especially in ones from Tirmidhi and Sunan Abu Dawud. But again, I'm not going to go through those and refute those, because these are things that Muslims believe. So if you want to make fun of them, that is, of course, your prerogative. But Satan is mentioned in all three Abrahamic faiths. So if you have an issue with people believing in Satan, then you need to point the finger at all three religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, not just Islam. It just shows that you have a blind hatred towards Islam and Muslims in general, and that you're not willing to come to terms with what the beliefs are in the other two faiths, which I think shows your true motivation. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Peace be with you all.